America, here is what you need to know. You and I both know this country can fix her problems. We both know that meaningful solutions to just our energy problems are 10 to 15 years away, but we can fix them. Whether Republicans win or lose in November, they've got to keep fighting the good fight. If they lose steam after Election Day and put their spines away until the next time they need our votes and our trust, I don't think they deserve either. Ann Coulter is a syndicated columnist, author of If Democrats Had Any Brains, They Would Be Republicans. What do you disagree with here, Ann?
I think you're being very tough on Republicans, and unfairly so. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, it's just politicians and us against them, but there really is a difference between the parties, and there's a big difference between the parties on energy. Republicans, the vast majority of them have consistently voted for, attempted to loosen up regulations where you want them loosened and where you want it done.
Well, wait a minute. Hey, hang on just a second. How come the first George Bush signed this executive order against offshore drilling, and it took 7 years for the second George Bush to rescind it?
I will make no apologies for the first George Bush. He also raised our taxes. However, it is also true that, well, okay, let's look at the vote on ANWR. That was absolutely on party lines. I looked it up from 2002. I posted the Senate vote on my website because except for a few of the usual suspects, including, oh yeah, our candidate for president, it was 100% Republicans voting for drilling, 100% Democrats voting against. Except for a few, very few sane Democrats, like Zell Miller voted for drilling in ANWR, and McCain, Collins, and Snowe voted against. But other than that, all Republicans were for, all Democrats were against.
Can I tell you something? I have more respect for Zell Miller and John McCain because at least they voted their conscience. They may have been,
I don't think so.
Bullcrap. You know what, Ann? I'm so tired of these policies. Are in these parties. I am so tired of hearing the Republicans all voted one way, and all the Republicans and all the Democrats voted the other way.
There are ideological differences between the parties. You said at one point in your opening monologue how we all agree, all Americans, we just have a different, set of priorities. Glenn, that isn't true. The environmentalists do not want us to drill. They do not want nuclear power.
If you look at, what is it, 65 or 75% now of the American public, they say, drill the snot out of this country wherever you can find it.
Those
are elected representatives. Things have changed because we've stopped buying into the global warming thing, and we've also went, you know what? I think heat might be more important than the global warming thing in the short run.
Okay, by the way, there's another example where we don't all agree. I agree with you on global warming, but there isn't a consensus on that, Glenn, and one party believes in it.
You know what? The problem is that I think both of these parties have sold their souls to the devil.
That is so unfair to the Republicans who have been fighting to drill and fighting to introduce nuclear power, which, by the way, our candidate has been good on.
And
yes.
I could do this on both parties on individual things, but are you really serious? I know you. I've had talks with you off the air. Are you really trying to tell me that the Republicans have not sold their soul on a myriad of things? They might get a couple of these things right, but both the Democrats and the Republicans have sold out to special interest. They have sold out to just get elected. Come on.
No, I don't think so. I think it is very simplistic to just say all politicians are like this. Unfortunately, what happens to a lot of the Republicans is there are a handful of Republicans who vote to show off to the New York Times, not out of principle, I might add. And all Republicans get blamed for it. I worked for the Senate for a couple of years. And by the way, I love what you're calling grandstanding. They're getting some publicity for what they're trying to do now.
Oh, no. Here's the thing. I love what they're doing. I just wish I could trust them that this wasn't just because the election is right around the corner.
Look, I promise you, you can trust Steve King from Iowa. You can trust Dana Rohrabacher from California. You can trust about 80 to 90% of elected Republicans, and there are about 10% like, oh yeah, the one we're running for president, Collins, Snowe, often Chuck Hagel, though he voted for drilling in ANWR, that give all Republicans a bad name. A slight majority of Republicans doesn't make a difference in the center of the House. You need a large majority.
All right, so here's where I'd like to go on this. Where there are differences, where there are real differences, I have more respect for Nancy Pelosi than I do for Barack Obama. because Barack Obama came out. Give me cut number 2 for Obama, please.
Like all compromises, this one has its drawbacks. It does include a limited amount of new offshore drilling. And while I still don't believe that's a particularly meaningful short-term or long-term solution, what I've said is I'm willing to consider it if it's necessary to actually pass a comprehensive plan.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. He's been against it the whole time, but that sounds fantastic. I'm willing to compromise a little bit. I don't believe it for a second. Give me the next cut of Obama, please.
We should sell 70 million barrels of oil from our strategic petroleum reserve for less expensive crude, which in the past has lowered gas prices within 2 weeks.
Okay, this is something that he was against just recently. Now here's Nancy Pelosi. Listen to what she had to say.
What our colleagues are talking about is something that won't have an effect for 10 years and it'll be 2 cents at the time. If they want to present something as part of an energy package, we're talking about something, but to single shoot on something that won't work and mislead the American people as to thinking it's going to reduce the price at the pump, I'm just not going to be a party to it.
Okay. Nancy Pelosi is at least consistent. She doesn't want to drill. She will never drill. She will never let it to be heard. Barack Obama, on the other hand, if you watch his energy policies, they've completely flipped overnight.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In fact, his policy is hard to distinguish at this point from John McCain's, although both of them are freakishly allergic to drilling in Anwar. Still. And I mean, you seem to be more wedded to people being consistent, even to a fanatically crazy idea. I don't care as long as they get to the right solution.
No.
The thing that concerns people about flip-flopping is that you're not sure if you can trust them, if they're really flopping to the right decision.
Thank you, Ann. That's been the point the whole time. I have no problem with somebody changing their mind if it's genuine.
Right.
But I don't know if I can trust the Republicans. I don't know if well, I know I can't trust the Democrats on this one, at least Barack Obama. Thanks, Ann. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks, Glenn.
Coming up next, Senator Barack Obama. Does he mean what he says, or is he playing politics during the election year? Conservative.